Oren never expected this moment would come. Oren, 21-year-old, blonde-hair guy in a suit, standing with my Yasmin, 30-something-year-old, slender woman with dark curly brown hair. Frozen in shock as Oren and Yasmin walked into Oren's father's villa. Eric, 40-something-year-old strong successful CEO with dark blonde hair, who everyone admired, wrapped his arms around Luke's lower back. Luke, 21-year-old curly chestnut hair guy. Hana was once Oren's ex-fiancée, now Eric's new husband, and Yasmin's younger brother. The rage bubbled inside Oren, and Eric and Luke could see Oren's reaction while still holding each other. Luke and Eric pull away from each other for a bit to try calming Oren down. Oren, Eric says as he stepped closer to Oren. I think, Luke, and I need to explain something to you. You're trying to seduce my father, Oren says, interrupting his father Eric while staring at Luke. Excuse me? Said Luke as he moved in front of Eric, facing Oren and Yasmin. You heard me, Luke says Oren as he walks up to Luke's face. Oren glared down at Luke as Luke glared up at Oren's face in disbelief. How could Oren accuse Luke of seducing Oren's father? Luke and Eric, after all, is married to each other. It's just they didn't have time to make the announcement just yet. Till now, Luke was about to explain the situation. However, Yasmin pulled Oren behind her as she stood in front of her brother with her hands slightly up in defeat. I think what Oren meant to say was, says Yasmin. She then looked at her brother Luke with concern. What are you doing here with Oren's father? She asked Luke. Are you bothering him for money? If that's what you want, then come back home with me. He'll talk to our parents, and they could let you back home and let you have full access to your money again. Luke then gave Yasmin a confused look. What the fuck is she talking about? Luke thought. Luke didn't have time to go through his bank account, since so much had happened after leaving his family. Home after his family's betrayal. Yasmin looked at her brother's eyes. You mean you didn't know? She asked Luke. She then sighed. Mother and father felt that you disrespect them. They took your bank account. So then that way you will be living in the streets with no money, just so you could come back home and apologize to them. Luke was stunned. He thought his parents couldn't get any worse than just being greedy parents. But to take Luke's money that rightfully belongs to Luke. Yasmin gently touched Luke's hands. Please, little brother, Yasmin says to Luke. Come home with me. You just need to apologize to our parents. That way they can forgive you. And your sister, says Oren while trying to calm down his anger from still being baffled. After witnessing his father and Luke being together, don't forget, you were also being disrespectful to your sister, when all she ever did was love you and took care of you. Luke then glared at Oren. I don't think you're entitled to being in a sibling's business or conversation right now, Oren, Luke said. Luke then looked at his sister Yasmin. And no, I'm not coming back home. I'm staying here with Eric, and he can tell our sorry excuse of our parents, that I'll sue them for identity theft and invading of privacy. Luke then walked back to Eric, as Luke linked his arms with Eric happily. Yasmin was appalled at what Luke just told her. Oren was mad. He then moved Yasmin to the side to grab Luke by the arm aggressively. Luke was frightened. Oh, so you think you're entitled to call my father by his first name like that? Oren yelled at Luke. Luke tried pulling away as he could feel Oren's grip tightening Luke's small arm. He's the wealthiest CEO at a high-ranked company. He's your superior. Do you have a death wish or something? Oren says as he raised his other hand to slap Luke. But Eric snatched Oren's wrist to stop Oren before Oren's hand could have the chance to slap Luke. Eric couldn't take much more of Oren's bullying towards Luke. It was time he finally stepped in. Eric angrily pushed Oren's hand away as Eric gently moved Luke behind Eric. Eric glared down at his son Oren. How dare you? Eric roared. Eric then walked up close to both Oren and Yasmin, as they both looked scared of Eric. Eric looked at Oren. You will not talk to Luke that way, regardless if you and Luke have broken up. I'm sorry, Dad, Oren said. It's just nothing, Oren. Eric shouted at his son. Now apologize to Luke right now, Eric continued. Oren looked at his father and then looked at Luke, who then gave Oren a triumphant look. This made Oren mad. How dare Luke look at Oren with a smug look? Luke think he could seduce Oren's father and think he could have the role of being Oren's father's lover, just so he could tell everyone what to do. Oh hell no. The role of being the son of Pt.2 CEO and have the power to tell others what to do is Oren's job. And Oren won't let Luke or anyone else take that position from him. Oren, tall, 21-year-old with blonde hair, looked at both his father and his ex-fiancée Luke. waiting for Oren to admit his wrongs and apologize to Luke. For Oren treating Luke so badly. But Oren stood his ground. He can't submit to Luke. For, if he did, then he would have to admit his wrongs and defeat, and Wyatt gave to give up his title to Vekmin, the next leader in his father company to Luke father. I'm sorry, but no, said Oren. The tension in the room was palpable. Oren's father, Eric, 40-year-old, tall, handsome CEO, with dirty blonde hair, and Luke's 21-year-old curly chestnut hair, who's also my ex, were now lovers. Luke and Eric both stared at Oren in shock. If you think I'm going to apologize to this skank, said Oren, you're mistaken. Luke slapped Oren across Oren's face, but before Oren could react, Yasmin, 30-something-year-old slender woman with dark curly brown hair, pulled Oren aside. How dare you slap him, she yelled, her hand gently touching Oren's cheek. What has he said that wasn't true, Luke? Yasmin's voice cracked with emotion. I was worried sick about you, thinking you were starving after what our parents did. But seeing you treat Oren like this, maybe it's best you just stay gone from our family, and stay away from Mr. Eric. Luke's bitter laugh filled the room as tears of anger spilled down his face. The memory of Yasmin's betrayal of her having an affair with Oren is now engaged to Oren. His ex-fiancée, while their parents kept quiet about Yasmin and Oren's affair, was still fresh to Luke's mind. How dare they come to the house, yelling at Luke and Eric, as if Luke and Eric did something wrong. This situation wouldn't have happened if Oren did not cheat on Luke. If Oren would have stayed faithful, then Eric wouldn't have found a reason to run out the house that night. He wouldn't have bumped into his supposed father-in-law Eric, and he wouldn't end up married to Eric for security purpose. If only Luke wouldn't have met and fell in love with Oren. But now here they were. Both Oren and Yasmin and Luke and Eric on the opposite side, with each pouring out anger towards each other. Get out, Luke yelled, while glaring at Oren and Yasmin. Both of you just get out of here now. The tears began to spill from Luke's eyes. He was tired of crying. Just when he thought he couldn't cry anymore from his family and ex hurting him, he surprises himself with more tears streaming down his face. Just then, Eric gently pulled Luke close as he embraced Luke, holding him as Eric rubs the back of Luke. Luke hugged Eric as he lay his head in Eric's masculine chest. Eric, while still holding Luke, glared up at Yasmin and Oren. You both were way out of line, said Eric, not speaking to them as a family member, but now, more so like their boss. Oren looked at his father with concerned look after feeling that the slap Luke gave Oren has finally stopped hurting. Father, said Oren, don't father me, Eric replied. You and your fiancé came to my villa unannounced, yelling at Luke and tried to make leave me. Sir, said Yasmin, as she tried defending on Oren's behalf. I know my brother, and I know Hay's a good kid, but this isn't his first time trying something like this to someone. Luke stopped crying as he quickly turned to look at Yasmin. What is she talking about now? Luke thought. A few months ago, said Yasmin while still talking to Eric. It was my father's birthday, and we all, including Oren, went to the restaurant to celebrate my father's birthday and had a good time. Later, Luke had to make a call and left the restaurant. I later noticed Luke was taking a long time outside, and when I walked away from my family at the restaurant table to check on Luke, I overheard him on the phone with someone telling that person that being with him the other night was a mistake. That's when I knew. Luke cheated on Oren. What? Eric asked. Luke gently touched Eric's arm. Eric said, Luke, please don't listen to them. What's wrong, Luke? Oren said in an angry tone, afraid of getting exposed. Well, too late. It's time my father knows the real you. Oren, then look at Yasmin. Good job, babe, Oren said to Yasmin in a gentle tone this time. Yasmin nodded and looked at Eric. Eric then looked at Luke, stunned. Luke looked up at Eric, staring at Luke. Luke knew Eric was having a lot of thoughts in his head of what Luke's sister Yasmin had just told Eric. But was any of it had encouraged Eric to want to leave Luke? Luke thought. Stop talking nonsense to Eric. Luke, 21-year-old chestnut curly hair guy, voice trembles with anger as he confronts his sister, 30-something-year-old slender woman with dark brown hair, named Yasmin. But before Luke can get closer, Oren, 31-year-old, tall with blonde hair, steps between them, his tall frame casting a shadow. Hey, back off, Oren warns, then turns to Eric, his father who is tall, 40-year-old strong CEO, with dirty blonde hair. You see, father, Oren said with a smug look. Luke is no good. He cheated on me first. That's what drove me to Yasmin. If it wasn't for his betrayal, none of this would have happened. The tension is thick as Eric, the powerful CEO, processes this accusation. For a moment, it seems like Luke's world is crumbling, exactly as Oren planned. But then Luke, tears welling up, takes one last look at his sister, an ex, before running upstairs. "Luke, wait," Eric calls out, but it's too late. As the bedroom door slams shut, Eric's rage becomes apparent. And suddenly Oren and Yasmin realize their plan might have backfired terribly. "Oren, Yasmin." Eric's voice cut through the air like ice as he approached them. Yasmin cowered behind Oren, who raised his hands defensively. "Dad," Oren's voice trembled. "Luke cheated on me. That's why I left him." Yasmin told me everything, but Eric kept advancing, his face darkening with each step. "You want a girl by your side? Is that why you're here? Thinking I'd suddenly approve of you marrying Yasmin?" The tension crackled between father and son until Eric's next words shattered everything. "I hereby banish you as my son." Oren stood there, stunned. This couldn't be real. His father couldn't mean it. "Get off my property," Eric growled. "Make all the bad choices you want, but don't drag me into them. Marry her if you must. I can't stop you. But know this, ... He paused, delivering the final blow. Luke never cheated. Those 3 words left Oren paralyzed, his world crumbling around him. What did his father mean? What was the truth? "I've had enough of both of you." The person Luke was on the phone with that night. He was tutoring them, trying to earn extra money to help your parents with bills. He stayed up all night helping his friend study for an exam, missed work the next day, and got a warning from his boss. That's what that phone call was about. Him telling his friend he couldn't pull all-nighters anymore. But that's impossible, Yasmin stammered from behind Oren's back, tears beginning to fall. Could she have misjudged her brother so badly? "Miranda?" Eric's voice boomed through the villa. The red-haired maid appeared instantly. "Yes, sir," Miranda asked. "Get these 2 out of my sight," Eric commanded, his patience completely spent. "And tell the guards no one enters without calling me first. I'm done with this drama in my villa." His words hung heavy in the air as Yasmin realized just how terribly wrong she'd been about her brother Luke all this time. "Of course, sir," Miranda's firm voice echoed as she gestured Oren and Yasmin towards the door. Oren, with fire in his eyes, stood his ground. "Tell my father I'll be back," he promised, though Miranda remained unfazed. Outside, Oren adjusted his tie while Yasmin's mind raced with guilt. All those times they'd mistreated Luke. Could they have been wrong? And Eric? How did he know? Tears started flowing down her cheeks. "Listen, don't get upset," Oren squeezed her hands gently. "This has to be Luke's lie. You 2 never kept secrets until recently, right?" Maybe he was right, Yasmin thought. Eric's story did sound far. Looking up at Oren with determination in her tear-filled eyes, she whispered, "We have to help your father." Oren knew exactly what she meant. They have to save Oren's father from Luke. Otherwise, Eric would be too far gone under Luke's spell. And most importantly, Eric would make sure to strip all of Oren's rights to the company. Hand in hand, Oren and Yasmin rushed to tell Yasmin's parents everything. Their mission was clear. They needed to get rid of Luke and away from Oren's father, Eric. And it looks like Oren has just the plan. Eric, 40-year-old tall CEO with dirty blonde hair, found his husband Luke, 21-year-old guy with curly chestnut hair, crying in the master bedroom of his villa. "I believe you," he said softly. "You weren't the first to cheat on my son Oren." Luke's tear-stained face lit up with a smile as he embraced Eric tightly. In that moment, their eyes met, and before they knew it, their lips connected in an unexpected kiss. Eric pulled back, uncertainty in his eyes, but Luke's gentle words reassured him. "I do like you, Eric. After today, seeing how you trusted me over everyone else, that's all I ever wanted." Eric confessed he'd had feelings for Luke for a year, making Luke's heart skip a beat. As they lay there, sharing tender kisses, neither knew that across town, Oren, 22-year-old tall guy with blonde hair, and Yasmin, 30-year-old, slender woman with dark curly hair, were plotting with Miriam, middle-aged woman with chestnut curly hair, to tear them apart, convinced Luke was seeking revenge. They were ready to take Luke down to save Oren's father from Luke. Last night changed everything, and there Eric sat at the breakfast table with Luke, stealing sweet kisses between bites. But their blissful morning was interrupted when the red-headed maid delivered an invitation. Yasmin's birthday banquet tonight at 8. Luke's immediate response was a firm no. Why would they go where his family would only want to see him suffer? But Eric, with that gentle persuasion of his, suggested something bold. Not just attending, but finally revealing their secret marriage to everyone. Meanwhile, across town, the birthday girl Yasmin was a vision in her curve-hugging black dress, hair cascading down her back. Her mother Miriam, father Oswald, middle age, handsome man with his distinguished salt and pepper hair, and Oren, all dressed their finest. They had more than celebration on their minds. Tonight was meant to be Luke's downfall, but as Yasmin basked in her princess moment during the banquet, later on, in walked Luke and Eric in matching black suits, wedding rings gleaming. The shock on their faces, Miriam, Oswald, Oren, and especially Yasmin, when they realized the truth. Luke and Eric weren't just together, they were married. Their perfectly laid plans crumbled in an instant. Welcome everyone, I have an announcement to make. Eric's voice boomed across the banquet hall, his new ring gleaming under the chandelier lights. Oren couldn't believe my eyes. There stood Oren's father, arm in arm with Luke, Oren's ex. The same Luke who'd cheated on Oren first, before Oren did. Now he's what, my stepfather? Oren thought. How dare you? Oren snapped, his voice trembling with rage. The guests turned to stare, but Oren didn't care. You're nothing but a gold digger. Slap. Luke's hand struck my cheek. Watch your mouth, Oren. He then smirked, pressing closer to Oren's father. That's no way to talk to your new stepfather. Oren's father, Eric, just chuckled, completely under Luke's spell. Even Oren's Yasmin's parents could only manage fake congratulations. Yasmin tried to speak up. After all, Luke was her brother, but even she had to tread carefully. Eric, Oren's father, wasn't just any man. He was the CEO. And now, Luke had exactly what he wanted. Not just Oren's father's heart, but his wallet too. And there wasn't a damn thing Oren could do about it. The tension between Oren and Luke could have been cut with a knife. Oren, all high and mighty, accused Luke of being the cheater, claiming he only married Eric for security and revenge. But Luke, he just rolled his eyes. You know what, Oren? Luke said, his voice steady and strong. Yeah, marrying Eric kept me off the streets. But unlike you, unlike my family, unlike everyone else who was just after money and status, Eric actually cared. Unlike you, and unlike you, he trusted me. And most importantly, unlike you, he loves me. Then Oren got desperate, grabbed Luke's hand, and threatened to expose some old dirt. But Luke, he just laughed, snatched his hand away and said, "Go ahead, tell the whole world. I've got nothing to hide." Oren then watched Luke walk back to Eric, linking arms with him, and delivering that final blow. I've got the only thing that matters. Someone who actually believes in me. Luke suddenly grabbed everyone's attention with a shocking revelation. I'll admit something, he said, looking around the room. This man Oren, he's my husband's son, but he was also my ex from high school. I caught him in bed with my sister, while my parents knew and kept quiet for money. Luke's voice cracked slightly, but he stood strong. But that's when Eric, Oren's father, rescued me. Yes, he's 20 years older, old enough to be my uncle. We married for security, but not for me. It was to stop Oren from using Eric's money to pay off my sister Yasmin and our parents. An attempt to take over as a new CEO. All because he claimed to be in love with my sister Yasmin. Wow, Luke. What a great performance. Oren, 21-year-old. Tall guy with blonde hair, and his slow claps echo through the birthday banquet hall, dripping with sarcasm. You're right, I cheated. His confession hits like a thunderbolt. But what follows is even more shocking. But who cheated first? Luke, 21-year-old guy with chestnut-like curly hair, stood there, surrounded by whispers and judging eyes at Luke. Luke's own sister Yasmin, 30-year-old slender woman with dark brown curly hair. Luke's parents, they're all putting on quite the show, painting Luke as the villain who's trying to tear everything apart. I never cheated, Oren. Luke's voice doesn't waver. And deep down, you know that. Eric, our tall, handsome CEO with dirty blonde hair, steps forward, gripping Luke's hand. I've told my son the truth, he declares, but he wouldn't listen. You can't trust him, father. He snaps, his perfect mask finally cracking. Family drama hit its peak at what should have been a big birthday banquet. There Luke stood, watching his sister Yasmin put on her perfect victim act, while holding Oren's hand. Luke, I've had enough of your games, she said, playing to the crowd. Luke and Yasmin's parents, Miriam, middle-aged woman with chestnut curly hair, and Oswald, middle-aged man with black salt ABD pepper hair, masters of manipulation, joined in with their rehearsed lines about family, unity, and maturity. But something snapped in Luke that day. Years of being the family scapegoat, of watching them twist every truth, came pouring out. "You want to talk about games?" Luke fired back. "How about the lies you've been spreading? The way you've never once stood by me?" Luke could see their faces drop as Luke finally stood his ground. Looking at his sister, he delivered the final blow. "You claimed to love me, but you couldn't wait to poison Oren with lies. Was your life so empty that destroying mine became your hobby?" The whispers stopped. For once, the truth was louder than their manipulation. "I never meant to hurt you. But no, I never lied to Oren." Yasmin's voice trembled as she faced her younger brother Luke. "Yes, I fell in love with him, and maybe I should have buried those feelings, but I couldn't help it." Luke wiped his tears, letting out a bitter chuckle. "Okay, you know what? Phenom, it don't matter anymore. You can keep him." His eyes drifted to the tall, blonde man standing beside his sister. Then up to Eric, his husband, and ironically, Oren's father. "Enough." Oswald erupted, grabbing Luke's arm. "This is your sister's birthday, and you're embarrassing us with your ... behavior. Come home, apologize, accept their relationship, or this family will never forgive you." The tension in the banquet hall could be cut with a knife. That's when Eric stepped forward, a knowing smirk playing on his lips. "Then I guess my son Oren hasn't told you yet ... All eyes turned to him, including Miriam's shocked gaze, as the family drama was about to take an even more dramatic turn. Oren, furious at his father Eric for marrying his ex. Luke, just launched an all-out war. In front of every guest, Oren declared his father unfit to be CEO, accusing Luke of being nothing more than a gold digger, who seduced his way into the family fortune. His girlfriend Yasmin tried to stop him, but Oren was too far gone, promising to call the board for a vote against his own father. The whispers spread through the room like wildfire. I mean, who marries their son's ex? Just when everyone thought the situation couldn't get more intense, Eric pulled out a mysterious flash drive. The room went dead silent. What could be on it that made Eric so confident? This family drama just turned into a corporate showdown, and I've got a feeling that flash drive might change everything. Suddenly, all eyes were fixed on Eric's laptop. "You wanted the truth, Yasmin? Well, here it is," Eric announced, his hand protectively on Luke's shoulder. The surveillance footage began to play, revealing a scene from that fateful night at the restaurant. Oren's confident smirk and bold claims of innocence hung in the air as Eric's assistant set up the equipment. "You have nothing on us, father," Oren had declared. But the trembling hands of Yasmin and her parents told a different story. Eric's voice cut through the silence. "Yasmin, you questioned how I knew Luke was telling the truth about not cheating first." The footage showed Luke stepping out of the restaurant, taking an innocent phone call. A far cry from the accusations that had been thrown his way. The truth was finally coming to light, and as the video played on, Yasmin's stunned expression said everything. Eric pressed play, and suddenly, Luke's innocence and the cheating accusations became crystal clear. Yasmin and Oren had wrongly accused him, destroying their relationships for nothing. But that was just the beginning. At the birthday banquet, the footage on Eric, 40-year-old, tall, handsome CEO with dirty blonde hair, and his laptop that shows different surveillance footage kept rolling, exposing Oswald, Luke's father, middle-aged man with dark salt and pepper hair, and his gambling addiction that had been draining the family's finances. Then came the bombshell about Miriam, middle-aged woman with chestnut curly hair. Luke's mother fraudulently collecting social security checks from a deceased person. Just when everyone thought the revelations were over, the final blow hit. Yasmin, 30-year-old woman with dark curly hair, stand with Oren, 21-year-old, tall guy with blonde hair, was watching through the laptop of TG surveillance of Yasmin, caught on camera sharing a sonogram. Not with Oren, but with another man, sharing an intimate moment together. The web of lies unraveled in mere minutes, leaving a once close family shattered by the weight of their own deceptions. Oren's world shatters when he discovers his Yasmin's shocking infidelity. She's carrying another man's child. As if that wasn't enough, the drama escalates when Luke's parents, once pillars of love and support, face their own downfall. The air grows thick with tension as Eric, Luke's husband, takes control of the situation, despite years of family bonds and shared memories. Luke watches silently as his parents plead on their knees, begging to avoid prison. Their desperate voices echo through the banquet hall. Please, son. You wouldn't let us go to jail, ... But sometimes love isn't enough to erase wrongdoing. In a heart-wrenching moment, Luke whispers, I'm sorry, mother, father. I still love you, but you broke the law. As police officers lead his parents away in handcuffs, the once happy family becomes a scene of shattered relationships and painful consequences. Yasmin watched them take her parents away at her own birthday banquet. How ironic. Everything she carefully planned, every lie she told, crumbling right before her eyes. She ran to Luke, her little brother, begging him to stop this madness. But there he stood, next to his husband Eric, cold and unmoved. Please, Luke. Yasmin pleaded on her knees, tears streaming down her face. But he just stared back with those stern eyes. You did this, Yasmin, said Luke. The truth was out. Her infidelity, the baby that wasn't Oren's, all of it. The years she spent raising Luke, sacrificing everything, watching him grow successful, find love, while Yasmin, she just kept spiraling into darkness. So she laughed. What else could she do? She laughed like a madwoman as her perfect facade finally shattered. Funny how life works. The caretaker sister becomes the villain, while the little brother becomes everything she couldn't be. Yasmin's dark secret is finally coming to light, and it's worse than anyone imagined. She confessed everything. How, watching her brother, Luke live his best life while she was trapped caring for family, drove her mad with envy. One drunken night led to an unexpected pregnancy, and that's when her manipulative mind started turning. The target, Luke's boyfriend Oren. She deliberately destroyed their relationship, spreading lies about Luke cheating, all so she could sink her claws into Oren and pass off her baby as his. But karma comes for everyone. When Oren learned the truth, his rage exploded. What the hell is wrong with you? He shouted, striking her to the ground. You made me believe Luke betrayed me, all for your sick game. Now Yasmin's on her knees, begging, but it's too late. Some crimes can't be forgiven, and her time to face justice has finally come. Please, Oren, forgive me, Yasmin begged, clutching his arm desperately. But Oren pulled away, his heart shattered by her betrayal. The empty banquet hall echoed with the weight of broken trust. He'd been such a fool, believing her lies while pushing away those who truly cared. As security escorted Yasmin out, Oren turned to face Luke and his father Eric, standing hand in hand. Dropping to Oren's knees, Oren's voice cracked with emotion. Dad, Luke, ... I'm so sorry. I was blind, said Oren. Luke's words cut deep as he spoke of trust and love. How one cannot exist without the other. Which is why I agreed to stay married to your father, Eric, Luke said as he looked up at Eric and smiled. He proved to me that you can't have love if there's no trust. And he trusted and believed in me when no one else did. Because he loves me, and with that, I realize I too love him just as much. Oren, tall, young, 21-year-old guy with blonde hair, kneeling down to the banquet halls, was confused. Suddenly tears began to fall. But Luke said, Oren, I said I was sorry. For real this time, I made a mistake. Please, take me back. Luke, 31XR OKD chestnut curly hair guy, realized it was no point talking to Oren and continued to look away from him as he held Eric. 40-year-old tall, handsome CEO with dirty blonde hair and his hands tighter. Get me out of here, Luke whispered to Eric. Eric nodded as he lifted Luke up bridal style and looked down at Oren, who was still kneeling on the floor. Oren looked up at Eric with plea. This is why I warned you about Yasmin, Oren, Eric said softly. She wasn't after your heart, son. She wanted this family's wealth to secure herself and her baby. Meanwhile, you were also the one trying to ruin me by trying to take over my CEO position. That is truly unforgettable, Oren. In that moment, Oren realized some mistakes can't be undone, and maybe not even forgiveness can heal one's heart. A quiet night at Eric and Luke's villa. Eric carries his husband Luke upstairs and into the master's bedroom, their hearts beating in sync. As they sit together, Luke's eyes shine with tears of joy. Thank you, he whispers, for being there when no one else was, for believing in me, for loving me unconditionally. Eric pulls Luke closer, his voice soft and warm. After losing my wife, I thought I'd never find love again. But then you walked into my life during high school. It was love at first sight. Even when you dated my son years later, my heart couldn't deny what it felt. You became my light in the darkness. Their love story isn't perfect. It's complicated, messy, and beautiful. A month later, as Eric hosts a barbecue at his villa, He gets a call from his son Oren, who's moving to Paris. Despite their past drama, their father-son bond remains. Meanwhile, in the sterile halls of St. Mary's psychiatric ward, Luke watches his sister Yasmin, 30-year-old slender woman with dark brown curly hair, through a glass wall. Her once perfect hair is wild and unkempt as she dances, flinging paint across the white room like a child lost in her own world. She lost the baby last month, the doctor explained softly. That's when she began to spiral. I placed my hand against the cold glass, desperately trying to reach her. For a moment, she stops, her eyes meeting mine. There's a flicker of recognition, a brief connection that makes my heart skip. But then she's gone again, dissolving into manic laughter as more paint splatters the walls. Try to be strong, Luke, the doctor says, his hand firm on my shoulder. She would want you to live your life for her. Tears blur my vision as I watch my big sister, the one who used to protect me, now lost in her own mind. Family drama tore us apart years ago, but I never stopped loving her. And I'll keep hoping that someday, she'll find her way back to me. The duo we once were. End.